Powerful cars cause powerful accidents too, and there are hits that make you say, "God protect us." Matt Armstrong in this video will do a creative rebuild of a BMW M3 2019 model. First, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Let's dive into German mechanics. At first glance, the situation seems simple. Just a front-end collision at low speed, but the view from behind will make you ask an obvious question. Is the chassis bent? Let's talk a bit about the car's specs first and why it deserves great effort to fix the destroyed rear quarter panel. Despite our different opinions on the awful front grille design, the M3 model from BMW is the dream car for almost any guy in his 20s. The new generation first appeared in 2020 and is still in production today. The M3 is a four-door sedan with all-wheel drive, and I like to call it a super sedan because its engine is a straight-six 3,000 cubic centimeters with twin turbo, or power turbo as BMW calls it, producing 470 horsepower and 550 newton-meters of torque, accelerating from 0 to 100 in just 4 seconds. So it's a dangerous car, a terrific engine, and a very aggressive design. He bought this car for £32,000, with only about 10,000 kilometers on the odometer, still basically brand new, and it had no insurance. Because of the high repair cost, the car's owner decided to sell it. The most important thing for me at the start is that the engine works, because if you can't hear the engine sound, he's not really looking at the car at all. First, the car needs to be moved to the garage, but the rear wheel was jammed in place because of the accident, and moving it with the winch was a very tough task, so he'll try to relieve pressure from above the wheel. He'll cut part of the fender with a saw, open the bodywork and try to remove the layer, take out all the plastic pieces from the side, and there will be space for the wheel to move around. The engine's oil gauge is electronic on the screen, so he's not sure if there's enough oil to run it because the lower oil coolers in the car had their hoses disconnected after the crash and a large amount of oil had leaked, so he'll disconnect the broken connections on both sides and get a hose to connect the two openings, temporarily bypassing oil flow to the coolers. The second step is electrical. The car's battery is in the back under the trunk. BMW cars have a fuse at the start of the battery cable that disconnects and cuts power to the car instantly after any accident. In this model, the fuse is part of the metal clamp on the battery terminal, a different design but works on the same idea. After this fuse blows, power is also cut to the starter. He'll reconnect the disconnected metal piece to its original place and attach the terminal with the bolt. He'll find the screen shows an electrical fault and he'll fill a new oil can for the engine. Under the hood, he'll notice the open hood hinges, and this is BMW's pedestrian protection hood release system, which has explosive cylinders that pop open and lift the hood cover to protect a struck pedestrian. He'll try to start the engine and it turns over on the first try. He'll move the car to the garage to begin the real work. The rear wheel moves with difficulty, but the important thing is it turns it all. The space inside is tight, so he'll back the car in. He's initially reassured the chassis isn't bent because the carbon fiber roof is completely intact, and also the door frame and the lines on the other side show no sign of impact. He'll then inspect the car from underneath and find the rear suspension link is bent, and that's the cause of the rear wheel being jammed. He'll take measurements from more than one point, and the numbers match up. He'll detach this link from its mount on the wheel, and the wheel will move freely. The suspension itself isn't broken here. The car has rear-wheel steering. Then he'll remove the wheel bolts and detach the rear bumper from its place, remove the broken plastic pieces, pull out all the connectors and wires from their sockets, and take out the inner wheel liner. The metal behind it is crumpled together. The whole area is dented. You can't even make out its features. He'll remove all the carpet and insulation layers from the trunk and remove the amplifier unit for the stereo system. The area here is completely mangled. He'll cut cleanly with the grinder, no markings, and make a square opening. And underneath, there too, the frame is crumpled together. He'll unbolt a bracket from its place and remove the speaker cover behind them, remove the foam sound insulation layer, then remove the insulation layers under the rear seat. He'll unbolt the trunk hinges and also the hydraulic lift struts and take out the trunk cover. And this is the clear view of the frame. The most important thing in inspecting a car is basically the chassis. Here, the impact shows no noticeable effect on the rear shield. He'll call in a friend to confirm the situation is worth the effort, an English YouTuber who specializes in rebuilding BMW cars, and he'll personally need him to fix this part later. He'll tell him the hit is repairable and that he can restore it to proper shape. He'll trust his word and start work from the front first. He'll unbolt the hood hinges and remove them, remove the plastic rain cover, and replace the hinges along with the cylinder. The crash sensor is very broken, so it must be replaced. He'll remove the wheels first and take out the inner liner, then remove the rest of the bumper. He'll take out the broken lights and unbolt the fender mounting bolts, pull the fender out of the car, and underneath the frame is intact. He'll pull out the entire front assembly together, undo the clips and bolts across the width of the hood area, remove the antenna box from on top, and take out all the cooling connections from their place. He'll remove a metal cover from underneath so he can reach the mounting bolts of the assembly on the frame, and also the bolts connecting it to the chassis itself. He'll lower the car down and remove the whole assembly from its place, remove the broken front windshield. Here all the car's radiators are gathered together. He bought an intact frame for a complete replacement assembly. He'll install it in the front, bolt down all its many mounting points, and reconnect the hoses to their places. Then he'll install the crash sensor that triggers the hood release, mount the oil coolers securely, and put the air intake box back in place. And with that, the front end is renewed. He'll get the foam bumper insert that has the compressed air line for the hood release sensor. Then he'll go look at the broken lights. He bought the same design but with a different code. The price of both lights is £1,800. He'll try to light them up, but nothing works. He goes back to check the electrical and finds a part with different firmware. He'll replace all the modules related to the lights and try again. And indeed, the electronics connect exactly like the original. He'll install the other headlight in its place, take out the LED light control unit, and replace the chip with a different one. This whole part is basically a mount to hold this chip, and these metal fins are for dissipating heat from the chip when it heats up. He'll make the lights appear yellowish. Yellow with red makes a really nice mix. He bought a new hood and 2 fenders. He'll install the intact fender in place. They had wrapping on them, which he'll remove, and coincidentally the pieces are exactly the same shade of red. The parking sensor wires that were tangled in the front bumper had some connections cut, so he'll reconnect them and remake the connections. As I told you, I'm really not a fan of the huge grille design on the M3, but this turns out to be something else entirely. He bought a front bumper with a modified design, installs all the sensors in place, and attaches the bumper in position. There's an English word that really describes how this car looks: sinister, meaning evil. The grille here is basically a near copy of the Alpina GT's design. As usual, he'll swap the hood accessories for carbon fiber pieces, install carbon fiber strut brace tubes for the chassis, and, with some help, install the hood in place and remove the wrapping on it. With that, the front end is completely finished. He'll now go back to the rear quarter panel. He'll get a hydraulic ram to push the panel from inside the trunk, trying to pull the impact area back out as much as possible before cutting out the rear quarter. Also, to straighten the speaker shelf area before fitting the new quarter panel, he'll work on the airbags from the interior. Almost all of them deployed here, about 5 of them. He'll replace the rear suspension link, pull back the covering layers from the area, unbolt the link with its joint, and put the new link in place. He'll remove the electronic brake control unit, here the old mounting bolt holes are broken, and install the new one behind the caliper, connecting its connector. He'll put the wheel back in place, then move the car forward a bit so he can open the doors and start removing the dashboard. He bought a new dash along with a side airbag to install. He'll take out the seats to make more room, remove the front A-pillar cover, pull the ignition switch out from under the roof, and remove the headliner edges so it can come out completely. He bought a completely new headliner unit and installs it with bolts along the entire roof length. He'll pull the straps and undo the seatbelt mounts, setting them aside to be redone. The new seatbelt anchor has a small explosive cylinder that fires during a crash and quickly pulls the belt strap backward. Next is removing the center console. He'll remove the rear AC vent frame, undoing 10mm bolts from behind and bolts under the cup holders from the front. After undoing the floor mounts, he'll disconnect any attachments around the console area and remove the AC vent and main buttons along with all their mounting bolts from underneath. He'll remove the screen from its socket, take out a plastic cover from the side, and also the AC vent frame, which has hidden mounting bolts underneath. He'll remove the instrument cluster screen and pull out the knee airbag underneath. All the dash edges are bolted, all the same size and shape. He'll remove the center speaker, undo the steering column mounting bolt, remove the steering assembly with the paddle shifters, and after a few remaining bolts underneath, he'll finally pull the whole dashboard out. There's a large number of bolts holding the interior in place. He'll put in the new dashboard with the intact airbag and reverse all the steps to reinstall the parts, the last piece being the intact steering steering wheel airbag. Everything fits together correctly. He'll connect the electronics and reconnect the oil cooler lines. He'll lift the car and check the engine oil. The inner pipe ends fit into a tight, hard-to-reach area, so he'll have to remove the steering rack mount and the sway bar to install the new lines. Since the coolers are exposed underneath, he'll install an armor cover to prevent leaks from impacts. It'll reduce airflow to the coolers a bit, but it has plenty of vents for cooling efficiency. He'll fill this model with coolant, but not in the usual way. It has 2 reservoir tanks for storing water. He'll remove the tank cap on the engine side and the cap on the other side, connect to a main port with a vacuum fill pump, and connect the vacuum lines to pull all the air out of the system. This car takes about 8 liters of coolant. He'll connect the hose, fill most of the amount, and finish the rest normally from the top. Next comes the oil change step. He'll press the start button 3 times, turn the AC to heat with the fan on the lowest speed, press the gas pedal for 15 seconds, then step on the brake and start the engine. These steps put the car into service mode, which allows the electronic oil level reading to reset without running the engine, basically refreshing the oil reading before filling the new oil. None of these steps are strictly necessary, but they're recommended by the manufacturer. After filling the oil, he'll take it back out. The rebuild cost so far has reached £38,000. The last and biggest step is completely replacing the rear quarter panel. The YouTuber friend whose opinion he took has arrived at the garage. He'll use an air-powered drill to cut through the body, but his compressor is too weak for the job. With a stronger one, he's able to cut through the outer body very fast. He's cutting almost randomly since all of it will be replaced. He cuts through the rear section, right across the damaged wheel arch, and through the still intact interior part remaining. He'll unbolt the door hinge to expose the frame fully and undo the side airbag. He'll remove the headliner and disconnect all the wiring harness in it, then start undoing the weld points along the door edges. He brought the same tool used before in the GTR video, a belt sander tool, and grinds down all the spots to separate the welds and split the metal layer. At the door, he'll need to cut out the damaged frame section, starting from underneath at its middle straight section, and from above, remove a short section of the roof body. He'll also undo all the welds around the inner structure, grind down all the welds on the rear pieces, and cut the rest at the frame with the saw. He'll remove the wheel and take out the shock absorber, then remove all the sealant/putty spots. There are a lot of spot weld areas at the wheel well metal ring. Here, he enters the point of no return. He cuts and removes all the interior pieces in the rear quarter. Finally, what's left after clearing the whole area, the impact also affected the shelf panel behind the rear seat. He bought a new part for this but won't replace it entirely. He'll save time and just cut the damaged section. Here's the new rear quarter panel. Actually, he bought this from the car's owner along with it because the owner wanted to fix it, but the cost was too high, outside of insurance. But this rear quarter body is cut more than needed, so he'll cut off the parts he doesn't need and separate the body from the inner structure. This process takes a very long time. He'll test fit the new quarter with the body to see how it works. It fits excellently, but obviously needs work. All the round opening spots need to be welded precisely, and he'll have his friend handle that task. He'll go back to the cutoff shelf area and install the intact pieces onto it, welding the seam between them with tack welds along the whole length. Then, a subscriber from the channel sent an intact side frame, a complete body panel for both doors. He'll cut just the rear section he needs and check that it fits very precisely. He'll tape the edge of the frame so he can cut it perfectly straight, position the frame in the car matching all the boundaries of the piece, and cut off the excess with the saw. And with that, the frame fits to the millimeter. He'll put the wheel back in place, lower the car to the ground, and install the door back in place, checking the panel gap spacing, including on the trunk side. Then, he'll drill holes along the new frame and apply metal bonding adhesive, spreading and smoothing the seam around the fender from the inside, fitting the frame into its final position. Then, he'll start welding the entire rear quarter panel. Only the holes on the inside remain, and he executes it very professionally. He'll mask the car with tape and spray primer to prevent rust on all the weld spots, applying more than one coat to the roof so it stays protected from rain, and spray the inside of the trunk with paint. Any layer touching another metal layer needs a seal between them. The sealant prevents air and moisture from getting in, and also at the joining points of the panels at the end. He uses a brush to spread the sealant over all the areas thoroughly. Once the car's color is sprayed, this sealant will be hidden from view. He'll put the electrical wiring back in the interior along with the amplifier unit in the trunk and put the battery back in place. He'll replace the blown fuse terminal, which comes as a complete unit from the manufacturer, replacing the whole connector, not just the metal piece. The trunk only needs its carpet now. He'll lift the shock absorber into place and put back the plastic pieces that have the rear bumper mounting holes, install the padding across the width of the car, fasten the steel crash bar underneath, and connect the lights with their harnesses. Then he'll install the new bumper in place, fit the long rocker panel trim into its slots, and finally put the trunk lid on its hinges and check the panel gaps. They're perfect all around. He'll put the wheel back on and start the engine. He'll install a new front windshield and the foam insulation for the rear shelf with its large plastic cover on top. He received correctly fitted new seatbelts from the factory and installs them, tightening the belt along its length properly. Then he'll do a big upgrade to the seats, carbon fiber bucket seats in white, and change all the interior trim to the new color, a whole different level of style. He'll install the door in place, but notice a slight gap after closing, caused by a loose metal latch bracket. He tightens it and closes the door properly. Then he starts the engine and drives off. The black bumper reminds me of a cheap base trim bumper that comes on the entry-level version, but after spraying the car in fiery red, it's back like new, at full strength. But the M3's engine is tunable, and there's definitely more to come, so he'll change the exhaust system. He buys a fully upgraded exhaust from Scorpion. The stock system has restrictive boxes and lots of airflow obstructions. He'll disconnect the exhaust pipe at the headers, undo all the hangers along the exhaust line, and drop the whole pipe assembly out together. This stock design really mutes the car's sound. He'll remove the metal cover from under the engine and remove both catalytic converters, disconnecting the oxygen sensor. The new pipe diameter is wider, about 3 inches. He'll mount the sensor on the downpipe and lift it into the tight space, repeat these steps on the other side, and install the new exhaust system in stages. He'll remove the electronic valve and install it at the end of the new exhaust, lift the last section up together, secure the fasteners with all the hangers in their spots, and finally install the carbon fiber exhaust tips from Akrapovich. He starts the engine. The valve is closed, so the sound is normal, but when the valve opens, it's much louder. The inline-6 engine doesn't have the best sound overall. Then he'll install the same round filters he used on a previous build. He removes the plastic air ducts from the hood area and takes out the tube underneath called the charge pipe, which connects the turbo intake to the manifold, and installs the new filters with their intake tubes. He'll also get a carbon fiber engine cover so the whole engine bay looks 100% carbon fiber. The performance filter has a small effect on the car's sound, but clearly the engine breathes better and faster now. He'll replace the front suspension shock absorbers with 2 height-adjustable coilovers. He unbolts the shock mounting plate from its bolt on top, but without a proper holder for the shock, which is honestly a bit risky. He sometimes does reckless moves. He won't need the original spring seat, so he knocks it out with a hammer, installs the new seat and the spring on top of it, and installs the mounting bolt without compressing the spring first. He lifts the modified struts into place. Notice the old spring seat was positioned higher, but the new one sits lower on the shock underneath, causing the wheel to rub against the strut mount during installation. So he solves this by installing a spacer above the brake disc, adding about 2 centimeters of clearance, and indeed, the rubbing sound disappears. He'll also change the rear shocks. At the rear axle, he unbolts the lower control arm, pulls it out, and easily removes the shock from its place. There's a big length difference between the old and new, but there's still a connection point. The height adjustment collar sits between the colored spring and the black one. He lifts the new spring onto its seat, reaches in from inside the rear wheel well, lowers it down, and checks the height. He then notices the rear control arm, in the direction of the accident, is bent, and the shock itself has an impact mark. He'll go buy these 2 parts from the dealership, costing £700. He'll then go buy new 20-inch wheels with a design fairly similar to the Porsche GT3 RS wheels, fitting for a sporty BMW. He installs a carbon fiber front splitter, drilling dedicated holes with a rotary tool and using a rivet gun to install the new mounts properly. He also bought a full rocker panel side skirt kit and installs a longer carbon fiber rear spoiler, removing the adhesive tape from the original wing, cleaning its mounting area, applying adhesive to the new one, and fitting it in place. The last step in the garage is installing the new gold wheels. He'll go to an alignment center where he replaces the shock and the new rear control arm, then aligns the car's camber and toe and takes it for a quick test drive to check the steering. He does a computer tune for the car so it recognizes and takes advantage of the new parts, then puts the car on the dyno to measure its power after the aerodynamic and mechanical mods. He wants you to comment below, guessing how many horsepower it will record. He takes the first reading before doing the tune, gradually revving the car up to 220 kilometers per hour. It records 550 horsepower and 700 newton meters of torque, and all this before he's even optimized the car for its best possible performance. He does the tune and tries the reading again. It records 644 horsepower and 816 newton meters of torque. His car is now more powerful than the stock M3 competition by 140 horsepower. Then he takes it to the track for some drifting and a bit of action. As I said at the start of the video, this is the dream car, an aggressive design, a striking color, and legendary performance. But life always has comparisons. He enters a timed speed race against a Lamborghini Huracan, one of the fastest Italian cars on track, naturally aspirated V10, 640 horsepower with all-wheel drive. So the question is, can this modified M3 be fast enough? After this incredible repair and mod journey, the BMW records almost the exact same time as the Lamborghini, and even faster by a fraction of a second. But as my dad says, a win is a win, even by the smallest margin. After the race ends, he hears a clear grinding sound coming from the rear axle. He lifts the car, removes the brake caliper and takes out the brake disc, unbolts the axle nut cover from behind, and undoes the rear axle nut. This grinding sound is caused by the wheel bearing, which typically lasts on average about 200,000 kilometers, but the accident clearly cut this part's life short. He replaces it with a new one from the manufacturer, applies thermal sealant, and closes up the area completely again. Then he takes it out to the Green Hell, the Nürburgring track in Germany. The weather that day is quite gray. The entry ticket price is 30 euros for a lap. The track is basically a very long stretch through the heart of the trees and forest, and that's it. I hope you enjoyed this rebuild, just like Matt Armstrong really enjoyed it on the track at the end. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments what car you'd like to see next. Bye.